Get ready for a rout, because what happened in Florida last night, I am telling you, it could be a preview to coming attractions. Welcome, everybody. Glad to have you. I'm Neil Cavuto, and go ahead and let Democrats dismiss Republican David Jolly's win in a special congressional election in Central Florida. Let them say it was already a Republican district, so what's the big deal? Even though Barack Obama won this district twice, and back then Democrats said, well, it was a very big deal. Let them say this has nothing to do with the health care law, even though this whole special election pretty much centered on the health care law, so they can poo-poo it. Here's why Republicans are running with it. Voters in a crucial swing district swung against the president on this, just as voters nationally are swinging against the president himself. His approval ratings, the lowest they have ever been in the latest Wall Street Journal NBC News poll. Healthcare law is a very big reason. Not nearly as many signing up. 1 out of 6, I should say, not yet paying up. And no matter how many hit shows on which the president pops up to get the young to enroll, well, they're not enrolling. They're not budging. They're not moving. I'm telling you, this whole healthcare ship is sinking. And they're desperately trying to keep it afloat. They keep saying, give it time, that things will get better. But they're not getting better. They're getting worse. And the uninsured, we upended everyone's health care in this country, they're not remotely interested. When all is said and done, think about this, 30 million will remain uninsured in this country. That's why voters are getting restless. Florida might have just been the first sign. Come November, get ready for the real fireworks. So, is the Sunshine State just a start, or am I the one flaming out? To Independent Women's Forum, Hadley Heath. We've got Democratic strategist Sasha Burns and the Hill managing editor Bob Cusack. All right, Hadley, just the beginning, the tipping point. What do you think happens here?
Oh, yes, the tip of the iceberg. This is a midterm election year. Republicans are looking to make big gains in districts like this one in Florida, where they can make the argument that Obamacare is actually causing more harm than it is doing good.
You know, you could look at this as well, Sasha, and say it's in the eye of the beholder. It was a close contest, but Republicans are sensing that with these exit polls and healthcare chief among the issues, that they've got something to run on later in the year. Should that be something that vulnerable Democrats run away from?
Look, do I wish we'd won, Neil? Of course I do. But it's one election. The midterms is going to be about a whole lot more than that.
So you think that the health care won't be as dominant an issue by then?
I think the problem is going to be for Republicans when they go beyond repeal and replace. The problem is just repeal doesn't do well. Once they try to replace, the Tea Party, the people on the right, who the Republican incumbents are really afraid of, they can't do it because what they have right now, the Republican bill, uses Obamacare things. So think about it, Neil. If you think it's a mess right now, people getting thrown off their plans by insurers, what about if we go back to the old way and you can't get insurance if you have pre-existing conditions? How many people that now have insurance
well, if that was such
will
a
get
grandiose and attractive lure, then tens of millions should be signing up, right?
Well, the people who are signing up right now, which is part of what the problem has been, is the people desperately need it, which is, you know, a good thing, that that's a change. What we need is others to do it.
But the numbers are less than thought. There's some of what she's saying, Bob, but I'm wondering if it was so great, and again, I don't think you get much argument from people who say cover pre-existing conditions, lift the lifetime cap on hospital care coverage. People before that, the dirty little detail is you do have to pay for that, and it's that reality that's hitting people and getting them so ticked off, isn't it?
Yeah, and behind the scenes, you know, Democrats are very nervous. The angst is building here. This was really a must-win for Democrats. Remember, a year ago, Neil, the president said that they had a great shot to win back the House. You can't credibly make that argument after this race. Democrats would do well to hold their own in this midterm election. And certainly Obamacare is something that is just, the brand has not been popular. And when President Obama has a boogeyman, whether it's Mitt Romney or John McCain, he does very well. 2010, on his words, took a shellacking. I don't know, it's not going to be as that bad as 2010, but certainly the Senate is in play, and you have to think that right now Republicans are favored to pick up seats in the House, especially after this election where it was, as you mentioned, a district that Obama won in 2012.
Well, you know, we have a ways to go, obviously, till November, but it was very, very apparent and very, very palpable in Washington today with one Kathleen Sebelius at a hearing how much Republicans are smelling blood. Take a look at this.
I think premiums are likely to go up, but go up at a smaller pace than what we've seen since 2010. The increases are far less significant than they were prior to the passage of the Affordable Care Act.
You know, no offense to her, Hadley. She's trying to sell lemonade here with the lemon she's dealt. It's a tough sell. I admire her ingenuity, her creativity, but it ain't working.
That's right. I mean, Obamacare essentially shuffled some of the deck chairs on the Titanic. Our healthcare system was full of problems before Obamacare, but conservatives now are the ones saying, let's not go back, let's go forward, let's change the system. And Democrats are awkwardly finding themselves.
Change means you could make things worse, and part of your change is based on a lot of things that are already in the healthcare law.
Well, Democrats are awkwardly in this position now where they're defending the status quo. You know, and yes, the political calculus for Republicans who are trying to come up with replacement plans, yes, that has changed now that we live in a world that is post-Obamacare. But voters recognize that in order to make a change in the law, they have to make changes in Washington, the people they send there. So that bodes trouble for Democrats this fall, many of whom are up for re-election. And every month, Neil, when people are getting their health insurance bills, this is a monthly reminder to go vote this fall and whom to vote for. It doesn't matter so much the
it might be a
talking
protest
points.
vote. I don't know if that was the case of what was going on in Florida. But Sasha, to your point, then, if you had to advise some of your Democratic friends, because you have no Republican friends, right?
I have a lot of Republican friends, actually.
All right,
We're much more normal in D.C. than people think.
But how would you have them play this? You have a lot of vulnerable ones like Landrew and who are saying, well, I'm glad the president put off this mandate, that mandate, everything, but the basic law is fine. How do they pitch that? Because they always look like they're reneging when they do that.
Well, I think you do what is the political thing. You go negative on the other side rather than defend your own, and you talk about the repeal and replace. What are you going to replace it with? What
if a Republican say just go back to what we had?
Right, and then say how many people with pre-existing conditions are you going to kick off? How many children are going to lose what they have? Go ahead and give us the numbers.
Fair enough. What do you think of that? That sometimes the devil's in the details of what you're going to do, Republicans, to counter. Bob, what do you say? Does that come back to bite them, or at this point do they even need to do that?
Republicans have a messaging problem here. There's no doubt about it. They're trying to move a replacement bill. It's not easy to move a health care bill, or at least have a health care package. Now, one of the things I've talked to some Republicans recently is that they really have to ditch the repeal message because the election of 2012 is over, and you can't just repeal it without replacing it. Otherwise, as Sasha was mentioning, you're going to lose a lot of people who already have coverage. That's not going to be a winning formula. The Tea Party, though, they're not on board with that approach. So there's definitely some intra-party fighting on both sides here.
And Republicans have been known to grab defeat from the jaws of victory, haven't they?
Occasionally. They're our best friends, really.
Now stop.
It's true.
It's Lent, we hug. All right, next up. No surprise when the judge, our